Hey there, everyone, and welcome to the hottest podcast for video game and mobile game pros. Let's talk player feedback. We've got a stacked lineup of industry experts, gaming legends, and real-life superheroes who have mastered the art of player engagement. They'll spill the beans on how to connect with your community, tackle those tough support challenges, and turn player feedback into pure gold. So grab your headphones and let's embark on this epic journey together. Get ready to level up your skills and create unforgettable player experiences. Let's Talk Player Feedback Season 4 starts right now. Well, hello! Welcome everyone to Season 4 of Let's Talk Customer Feedback. We are actually changing our name for this season. We're going to start calling it as it is, Let's Talk Player Feedback. And with us, we have Alysia Sanders from Kongregate. Hello!
Hey, Caro. Hey, it's so good to be here. Player experience and community management, all of these words, they're words that I live by on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I know that, Alysia. That's why I love working with you and I love having you here as a guest on our podcast. And today, first of all, if you would like to introduce yourself a little bit, like tell us a little bit about your background. What do you do?
Sure. I just want to start out by saying, I feel like most of my career has been an accident. It's always been things that I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure, did I fit in? Am I qualified to do this? But after 12 years, the imposter syndrome is fading away. I've been involved in the gaming industry for a very long time. I started with Neopets, which was an online game, with flash games and all that stuff. Watching out for the baddies, keeping the children safe. And then I found Synapse Games, and they really brought me, up and coming star here. I was their community manager. I was their main customer support person, all within a very small studio. I was, I think, employee number 19. So
Wow.
I was in the door fast. And then as the years went by, I got more responsibilities. People started, trusting me more. And now whenever there's a full-blown emergency, they look to me first because that's my jam. That's what I really like to do, as bad as it sounds. As long as there's something else to focus on, there's a million other things going on, communication. You have to really just be comfortable being wrong and be comfortable
100%.
bothering people. Both very good qualities of mine.
That's great. I must say that those are good qualities of mine too. That's why, Alysia, I always think that we will be great friends. We will
I
live
know
in the
that we
same
would.
continent.
We got to work it
And
out to go see each other.
we will make it happen. We will make this happen. It will be GDC, Gamescom, something in between. One day we're gonna meet.
I
Alysia, tell me
absolutely agree.
something. Were you playing games when you were younger, when you were a kid, or oh my God, you have an amazing cat? She in the background, I see a white, beautiful cat. For the ones listening to the podcast in audio version only, this is what will make you go and watch the video next.
Yes, she hears me talking and she thinks that she needs to be in the center of attention as well. I
It's
have
fine.
always been a gamer. I remember I being 6 years old and getting the original PlayStation, and we got Wipeout. And back in the days of game demo discs, you could go to the grocery store and get not tips and tricks, but like the PlayStation magazine, and they would have demo discs. I would basically memorize those demo discs until I got the money to buy the game that I
Wow.
wanted to play.
That's so amazing. I remember those magazines myself. I used to play a lot of like PC adventure games when I was a kid. So I remember buying those uh, magazines to try to get the tips and tricks on how to pass to the next level in the Monkey Island, in
Mhm.
the Night of the Tentacle and all those games. So I love those magazines. I
I
think I
was
still have some actually. I need
Oh,
to
we
I
might
need to
have to
upload
dig through
those.
those. I was published in Tips
Yeah.
and Tricks in two different series. One was like
Oh.
just an article, and one was I was like 13, so please, 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 if you ever find it, don't judge me too hard. And then one was a question that I had the Super Nintendo was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of Easter eggs. So I found one that was really cool.
That's amazing. That's very cool. So, Alicia, when we were talking about having you as a guest in this podcast, we were talking about many, many, many subjects, but for some reason, we decided that navigating turbulence in video game communities, aka crisis management, was the first one that we want to go for, right?
Absolutely, yes. And it was due to unfortunate circumstances going on in our game that have somewhat continued, and the theme is still very prevalent right now in my life and day-to-day work.
You know, crises are everywhere, in every product, in every game, in every
Always,
studio.
always. There's always
So,
something that you could do better, always something that you could do more of.
and I'm sure that there's a lot of things that people can learn from you and your crisis management skills. So let's dive right into the
Let's
subject.
go!
So to start, I think that the first questions that I wanted to ask you is just to bring everyone on the same page. What are some common types of crises that can occur in a player community?
Oh my goodness,
And
Kara.
how do they manifest? You know, how do you spot them? What are the challenges that they present for community managers? Alicia, you go.
All right, I'm gonna go. So the most common. Okay, I want to preface this by saying that almost everything that happens in a live game is an emergency to players. So you really there's level of crisis management, but whenever we get a really big fire, say we find there's been exploits, and we have to maybe take the game down for a couple of hours and roll everybody back. Or recently we've been dealing with a scoring issue, and that part has been very frustrating because we couldn't find a common denominator. We couldn't find, what was causing this. Um, those easy to spot, easy to find because the players they don't manifest them, but the players are telling us, hey, when I click on this card, the game crashes, and we're like, whoa, that's not something we really want to happen. So,
Right.
we had an issue on Friday where players didn't get the energy that they needed for their game. And I determined, hey, it's an urgent issue. It's happening right now in the game. So we round up all the people that the stakeholders is what I'm going to say. Anyone that has a horse in the race, we get them into a Slack channel and we say, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's, community's perspective of it. And usually the engineers will ask us to write a bug ticket, and we'll take screenshots from players, and then they'll start their investigation. And that's when the hurry up and wait comes. So we push ourselves all the way forward to the front of our seat, and we put our hands on our face, and we're like, all right, now we can't do anything. But while that is happening, while the engineers are taking care of their business, we are drafting community announcements. We are looking for ways to make whatever's happening less painful for the players that are experiencing it. So sometimes that comes down to compensation. Sometimes we'll try to restart the event if it's just barely started. Fairness is something that I look for the most whenever we're doing crisis management or crisis responses. I want as many people are as affected to be compensated or feel good about the resolution that we have. And that is always a challenge because they always want more, right, Caro? We're so hard done by. Please give us the max amount of everything that you can.
Of course.
I would love to do that. Honestly, personally, you all deserve it. You're very loyal to our game, but on the other hand, if we give you everything, what else do you have to play for?
100%. And after all, we're running a business here. It's like
exactly. Nothing's free in this world, unfortunately.
That's true. And I wanted to ask you a question about that because my background is also community. That's how I started. I started as a community manager, and I enjoyed it so much.
But it's pure sarcasm, everybody.
In times of crisis, another thing that we would do, and maybe I wanted you to tell us how you manage. So maybe in the games community is different. And I didn't work for the gaming industry when I was a community manager. I was working for a website builder. but we also created some sort of a timeline, like trying to understand, okay, if this bug, problem, feature, whatever is going on that is not working continues within, I don't know, 1 hour, 6 hours, 24 hours. Do you also do that
Uh,
for games?
oh my goodness, I try to be on top of things. We have a tool in our Slack that tells us how many tickets we've gotten in the past hour, and it sends me an alert if we get more than 12 tickets every hour. To me, that's the danger threshold. So,
Yeah.
if we're not getting a mass amount of reports, if we get one or two an hour, I will, I'll be fishy. I'll say, oh, what, something stinky,
We're
let's
looking into
investigate.
it. We're looking
Yeah.
into it.
And then as the day goes on, we might get one or two more, and then I'm like, okay, this is a clear problem. Let's, flag this to the engineers. I don't sit on my hands very much. I would rather make a mountain out of a molehill every day just in case, within reason. I'm not saying, oh, this person's missing some hard currency. What can we do? Where I would know I could fix that and be totally fine.
Yeah.
But there's lawnmowers going on. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Don't worry. It's okay. This is it's normal people doing a podcast. We have lawnmowers outside, and my dog might bark in the middle of the episode, so it's okay.
And we've
It's
got a
totally
cat in our
fine.
laps, so
Totally. Okay, that answers my question. So for the
thanks,
next
Carol.
one, and you're very welcome. And the next one that I have is whenever there is, right, a crisis in the video game player community, I wanted to know what are the key steps a crisis manager should take to be effective in addressing the situation. Do you have any best practices or strategies that have proven success for you in mitigating these kind of situations?
Honesty is my best policy. Honesty drives the community forward. I like to be as open and honest with them as possible. When I'm upset about a game or something, the more information that I get, the more information or the more reassured I feel that the developers are taking that seriously, the more reassured I have of knowing a timeline of when it might be fixed. But so getting the community strategies together, that has been a process, 2 or 3 years in the making, where every time we have something come up, we have to iterate on that process. What worked for us, what didn't work. I think that that's the same kind of like process that most companies would take or most teams would take. Let's just keep getting better. I don't allow my team to rest on their laurels. I don't let
Yeah.
them rest at all, really. Okay, this was great, and let's do this better next time. Right now, we are having a little bit of trouble with communication with some higher ups, some stakeholders who need to make some decisions, and that part has been frustrating. However, I've just been holding their hand, dragging that horse to water. Please, please, please help us. Um, I've seen very big improvement in that area. Just as an anecdote, um, we we really strive to keep the communication open, tell players as soon as possible what we know, when we know it, and when they can expect a fix. That is the
Yeah.
most important thing, or when they can expect this to be over. When can they get back to what they've given us money for?
100%. So if I can sum it up in like three key takeaways from your answer, it will be honesty,
Yes.
um, clear and straightforward communication within the teams that are fixing
Yes.
or communicating, and a clear timeline for the players. Is that correct?
That's correct. A clear timeline for the players is a clear timeline for the community team as well. So we understand how long we have to wait.
What, I totally. And how much, I guess, content for the future you need to continue to create, and sometimes
Exactly.
I remember when we saw that a bug was not fixed, and we already saw that it's going to go on for another 24 hours or something like that in my previous
Oh,
job. We were like already drafting content for every 2-3 hours for the next 24 hours, because we knew that the community will continue and continue to say, guys, what's going on? It's been 24 hours. So we were like redrafting, content, and like just saying kind of the same thing, because we didn't have much more to say, but just to make
exactly.
sure that the community understands that we're still there and we're still listening, we're still on it. So I
Very
think that the
important.
timeline is such an important part of crisis
Especially if
management.
you we're a relatively small studio, so sometimes we do have to sleep. Sometimes we do have to go eat. Sometimes we have to
Yeah.
step away from the computer. And I consider the community, a shield between the developers and the community. We'll absorb all of that, but at the same time, we have to give them something too.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes, I think that when you're not a community manager or when you're a user and you see a community manager telling you 2 hours later kind of the same message, like, we're still looking into it, we appreciate your patience, don't worry, our teams are like working around the clock, blah blah blah. I think that sometimes it gets them kind of upset that it's kind of the same message, but
Hmm.
the ulterior motive of these kind of messages is, hey, we're still here, we didn't let go of your hand. And
Yes.
sometimes it's difficult for them to understand that, a bug is not going to be fixed in 30 minutes.
Software
And
and technology, just in general, is tough. You,
yeah.
if it was so easy to have zero bugs in your product, then everyone would be doing it. I've seen it. I've seen it happen over and over again.
Totally. And this takes me to a very like very interesting topic, I think, for community managers, that is like trust.
Oh
How,
my goodness.
your job is to gain trust, to maintain trust. And these kind of moments in crisis is when trust can be broken, destroyed, and disappear. The work of months, of years in the community can be put at yes. It can
Straight
be
down the.
so. Can you talk to us a little bit about, like, if you have some effective communication strategies that you can employ to, maintain trust within the community?
And we'll go back to the effective community strategies. Just the top one: honesty, open communication. The more you say and do what you say you're going to do, the more trust that you have. The more they say, oh, this person may be only a community manager, but I've seen them wrangle a bug before. I've seen them uh, take care of a really bad community issue. Say someone was swearing an awful lot in our Discord. And so it's really a give and take situation with the trust. We have to trust them that they're going to be mostly mature. Our game isn't super mature, so we don't expect that. We have fart jokes and stuff, but um, being able to play around with them, also show your personality, that gains trust. They understand for the most part that you're a human, and humans are fallible. We're totally
Yeah.
always capable of making mistakes, and I think that one or two mistakes does help build your trust. The little ones, where you say, oh, I messed up with this announcement, here you guys go,
Yeah.
so sorry, here, and giving an explanation of how you were wrong, making a mistake and admitting it. I feel like this is just stuff that I learned in maybe Sunday school, where you treat everyone the way you want to be treated. Uh,
100%. It goes back to that, Alicia. Goes back to Sunday school. You see?
just be nice to everybody, and if they'll want to be around you, hopefully.
I, I just want to say that I'm not just saying this for a hook, but people, if you're listening to this podcast, you have to go and watch the video version, because you have to see that actually you think that you have two people in this podcast, but there's actually a third guest. It's the cat, the white cat of Alicia. What is his name? Their name?
Her name is Boo Kitty. She's just
Kitty.
a pure, yep, Boo Kitty, white cat, and I like. I've loved video games for so long. Mario, original Mario. Their ghost name is Boo, and she looks like a ghost because she's pure white, and that's
It's
how her name
true.
came to be.
That's so cute. And okay, so
Always more games.
totally, always. You know that it's funny that you mentioned Mario. You know that the original Mario, the Super Mario Bros,
Hmm.
it was launched on June in this month of 1983. That's funny.
1983, here we go.
Yeah, that was
Awesome.
a good year and a good month. So we're doing this in a good month.
I think,
Okay,
yeah, some good video game history month this month.
actually, because of E3 also,
Uh,
totally. So okay, that's
yeah.
great. And I wanted to ask you, because it's very common in times of crisis, and like you're saying, what is a community? Community is people, it's players, it's community managers for the studio, for the game, and it's actually people. So in times of crisis, some toxic behavior can appear here and
Yes.
there, and sometimes it's toxic for the game, like against the game, against the company, against the studio, blah, blah. But sometimes community members, they start to get angry at each other.
Yes.
So, and that is a very delicate subject in communities, like toxicity
Very
and online
much.
harassment. So I wanted to ask you, how can like crisis managers effectively address instances of toxic behavior and overall create a healthier and more inclusive community environment?
This is sadly a topic that I love. I sadly, because it's like toxic isn't fun to talk about for anyone, but it's something that I really like to bring about whenever we're talking about just communities in general. Toxicity drives players away. Toxicity will tank your DAU. Toxicity, just from one player can cause several other players to not want to interact with your game. So I take that very seriously. I can implement a timeout for both of them, send them both warnings, or whoever's arguing. I assume it would be two people at the first, and send warnings and hope that they calm down. Let them know, hey, we expect this level of behavior. We expect you to be nice. We expect you to not harass people. We expect you to, just give us really good information and behave. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't work out whenever they're going at each other. You have to set the boundaries with the players or with your users to make sure that they understand this isn't going to be tolerated. And unfortunately, we've tolerated some less than desirable behavior in the past, and those habits are so hard to break.
Yeah.
So, in a crisis mode, we will probably go harder than we would softer. I would say we would mute them a lot faster. We would
Yeah.
get rid of the noise. Whenever whenever they're making a fuss, they're obviously very upset, and that's something that we definitely don't want. But at the same time, if they're so upset that they're upsetting others, we have to take that step and remove them to at least temporarily from the situation.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. I was gonna ask you if, banning a community member, is it forever? Can you do temporary bans and then, maybe try to get them back in? How does something like, how does it go?
For our Discord, we have a timeout room where we will place players, and they can. It depends on their behavior. If they're apologetic, if we feel that they're sincere, or mostly sincere, it's a video game. It's Discord.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say contrition, but they just have to show that they understand why they were put in timeout, and then they can get out of timeout. Unless they're doxing people, doing egregious behavior such as wishing harm or death to someone
Yeah,
else, or posting bad pictures. We don't tolerate porn or gore or anything like
obviously.
that. So yeah, if as long as they are willing to show that they can behave properly once they've calmed down, more than willing to join us back in the group. Happy to have you. We all have bad days. We all have bad moments. We're not going to hold that against you forever.
That sounds great. I think it's a really good balance. And I'm happy that like modern platforms like Discord, which obviously didn't exist when I was a community manager,
I know.
um, have these kind of possibilities and this kind of flexibility, because back then in the old platforms, like the ones that started it all, I don't want to name them, but you could just ban someone, block, ban, like report, and like it was done. There was
That's
no
it.
balance. And people, again, communities are made of people, players, community managers, and it's good to have like middle grounds and the opportunity to just like come back
Yeah,
and show a better intention. And this brings me directly into, the fact that video game player communities, they consist of very diverse individuals, sometimes even different, really big age gaps and different type of interests and different opinions and interests. So how can a community manager navigate conflicts and disagreements within the community during a crisis while still maintaining a sense of unity, and making all feel like they are cooperating with each other?
if there's anything that,
What's that gift that you've got,
oh
Alysia?
my goodness. So I think that it's not really a secret. Anything that can bring people together is going to cause them to feel like a community. They're all mad about a crisis at the moment. Let's ham it up. Let's make fun of it. Let's jump in and say, oh man, this is impacting me too. Not only is it impacting me in work because I have to deal with the back end of making sure that the developers understand the bug and answer all of their questions, what I'm seeing in the community. But then I also have the community that's fired up. What are we gonna do? Oh, let's rag on the game a little bit. Let's say, I wish that this was better. But hopefully, whenever they're done, we can have a brand new tomorrow. Give them hope, but rally with them a little bit. Commiserate, empathize with what they're going through. And I think that really goes a long way. And I've seen players just make funny memes while they're waiting for the bug to be released, or posting funny gifs. Those are my weakness. I will always post those. So it's like hanging out with a group of friends, but you know that you're in charge. But you
And they're angry.
yes, and you're like, so there's a little bit of people pleasing when it coming into it. You have to really feel out the community whenever you're doing that sort of stuff. If they're not into it, they're not into it, and like don't force
Don't
it.
even try. Yeah.
No, if it feels wrong, it probably is wrong. Listen to your gut. That is something that I will always say as well. Whenever it comes to honesty, please listen to your gut too, because
Yes.
sometimes honesty is not the best policy.
Honesty with tact. That someone told me this
Tactful
once. Like,
honesty, I love it.
yes, tactful honesty. It's important. There's another person on the other side also.
Very much so. And I mean, if there was a secret to healing the world, it would be more of that, wouldn't it? Just listen to the other person, empathize with that person. I want to
Alicia,
save the world.
the more I work with, I worked with so many community managers in the past, and the more I interview people that have to do with, player facing people like community managers, player support, player experience professionals. I think if someone is gonna save the world, you said a boat. It's like I'm gonna make a Noah Ark only with community managers.
I think you're onto something.
They're gonna save all of you. Because if
With,
someone is gonna save the world, it's gonna be people that know how to manage communities.
oh my goodness, yes. I think that running for president of the United States could be a group platform, and we'd say, hey, we've got crisis management over here. We've got the live ops person over here who knows how to manage the economy. We've got a whole video game studio.
Work.
I'm into it. I'm only just now old enough to run, but we got a few years. We can drum up some support.
100%. And I wanted to ask another question. I'm going to go a
Yeah.
little bit away from this. It is still about crisis, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about reputation, right? Because crises can always lead, like sometimes, not all of them, right? But the big ones, they can lead to a loss on reputation for the video game company, for the community itself, for the game.
Yes.
Etc. And in your experience, if you can share with us some strategies on how to rebuild, trust, to restore a positive image
Oh my goodness.
after a crisis.
That is a layered question, Caro.
Yeah.
But something that I, have a lot of experience in. Reputation is something that's so hard to get back. Once you've lost it, it goes down into a deep chasm, and you have to, jump in with tweezers and find that one specific piece of reputation. it's honestly a lot better to stay on top of the chasm and placate, make people happy, give them compensation, make sure that it's healthy compensation. And
Yeah,
when games are very stingy, and there's like differences between or there's studies between the differences of, do we give them too much stuff and do we give them not enough stuff. In my opinion, the more stuff you have to do in the game, the more resources that you're given, the more you're going to want to play that game. So I lean heavily towards compensation. We have recently developed another way to deal with a new bug that has been coming up, and we've started, it's a different form of compensation, but we just make their score bigger. We make them feel like, hey, this was our bad. We're so sorry that you had to experience this, and here's a top score for the day one of this event. Please
that's very cool.
use that as a jumping off point to keep being successful. And the players have actually, we've only done that once, and the players were more happy about that than I can remember them being happy, about in any other previous fix that we've done. So we've accidentally stumbled onto something here for our community, and it probably
That's
won't
very
work.
interesting. You know what? You made me like now. I'm feeling like having another session of crisis management where
Okay.
and pairing up, you
Mm-hmm.
and a game economist that probably is like pulling his hairs, their hairs out during the
Yes.
crisis. And how much are we giving? How much are we taking? Because this story, like this, like idea of actually giving them a top score, which is great. It will not be affecting so much the game economy.
Exactly, because they still
And
have
it will
to.
be great for everyone if it makes them feel better and it's not
Mm-hmm.
affecting the game economy. And, people are feeling good about the game.
they
Sounds like
they
a
still have
plan.
to participate to get the rewards, but setting their score for something that we've messed up is, it's just been really great. I um I'm more trusted than I think most people would feel comfortable trusting a player experience manager, because I've been in live ops before, and
Mm.
I understand the economy, and I understand that it's not good to give out everything. I mean, obviously, I've known that from player experience before. I've been told so many times. What are you thinking?
You
Um,
got it in the end.
exactly. So, experience has really helped me balance out expectations with what I know that I can get away with and what I know I will have to fight for. And it's always for
100%.
the community. I want them to be happy. I want them to trust us. And that brings us back to reputation, is that the community managers are always working on that reputation. We know that the games aren't going to be perfect, like I've said, so we build up that good faith even if there's not bad faith. We want them to want to be around. So we have implemented, listening days on our Discord. We'll listen to music. We just really create a place that they want to be in. And I think that that's easy when you don't allow toxicity. I think it's easy whenever you have a really good development team behind you and they're cheering you on. They want the community happy as well. So it's really a team effort on everybody's part to maintain the reputation of the game. And if it
100%.
tanks, then we start at the bottom, and we get, unfortunately, it's something that we have to do as community managers. Is sometimes the best thing you can do is start over, have a new day, get some fresh perspective for everybody, the players too. Once they've all gone to sleep and woken up, and the world's still turning, things start to click back into place that it's a video game and no one's actually dying.
Well, it's not a surgery table, like people say.
I I tell that to my agents all the time. They're like, "This person's so mad." I'm like, "Okay, but are they dying?" No. Let's take 30 minutes and
No, they're
let's
just not making it to the next level today. It's gonna be okay.
exactly. I'm like, let's take 30 minutes. Let's both get a breath of air. Let's come into this with a clear mind. And I think that that's the best way to really solve a problem, is take your time. And haste makes waste, I think is the saying.
Yeah. Alicia, can I ask you one last question?
Oh, is it already almost over? I can't believe it.
We're almost there. Can you believe
Ah,
it?
I,
We're gonna
I
have
have
more
so much fun
podcasts.
with you all the time, Caro. It's my pleasure to be here. So while
Thank
I'm
you
not
so
happy
much.
about one more question, I'll do one more. No, I'm joking. I'm very happy about it. I want more. But we are gonna have to do a second session.
We're gonna do a second session for sure. Then we spoke about it even before we did this session. So now we did this session, we're nailing it.
I'm
And
so
so
excited.
okay. So the last question is, as video games continue to evolve and expand, new platforms and technologies emerge. So
Yes.
they present obviously unique challenges and advantages, I guess, for crisis management. Can you tell me, please, what are some of the emerging trends or areas of concerns that community managers should be aware of in the context of video game player communities?
I would say that the toxic levels are getting to different heights. Previously in the forum days, I've been around long enough to have seen this technology unfold as more time goes on. There's TikTok now. You've really got to be careful with what you share with the world.
Yeah.
You've Oh my goodness, the internet is forever, everybody. I just want everyone to know whatever you put on the internet, it stays there forever. Unless you have some really good lawyers and really good money, which I don't. So as for crisis management, it's always have all of the facts, have all of the information that reasonably available to you, um, and watch out for, I think, fakes. I think people pretending to be other people, which is a really good podcast about Delta Green. But anyway, I digress. Um, whenever as technology expands and grows, the players get that much more knowledge.
Yeah.
So, and they're not looking to use it in a very productive way, or in a productive way professionally, I should say.
Yeah, I
I'm sure it's
understand.
productive for them. Um, Making sure that players have their accounts, their account information is able to be safe, multi-factor authentication. All of this is going to save you so many headaches in the future. Uh, just future proofing is really good.
That's a great tip. I think that is an amazing tip. And okay, so our time is up. Can
I
you
can't
believe
believe it.
what such
No,
a
it
pleasure
was.
to me?
I wanted it to go on for hours and hours.
So we will have to do more sessions, and that's it.
I'm in.
I
Count
wanted to
me in.
say thank you so much, Alysia Sanders from Kongregate, who brought us
Thank you,
today all
Caro.
knowledge. I appreciate it so much. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And
Yeah.
I'm your host, and we'll see you in the next episode. Welcome to
Yay.
Discuss.
Bye.
Bye bye.